For the last 5 years, well, actually longer than that, but for the last 5 years, I've been documenting the abuse that I've been enduring over, well, we'll get into that later. This is about facts, about the senseless murders of so many people that I know. When your lives get worse, the worse our lives get, the worse the economy gets, the more homeless people you murder, now I'm sure somebody is going to try to twist that to pretend I'm saying something that I'm not, to try to pretend that I am a violent person who is hallucinating my dead loved ones. These people did exist, their lives did matter. There's a, oh, I'm sorry, my nose is running. I was crying. I just, Skid Row. I'm not sure if you guys know where that is. That's in California, Los Angeles. Um, Murders among the homeless in 2021 were increased by 40% over 2020. That's just reported. 40%. That's not counting those killed by cops. That's not counting those killed by hospitals after the cops beat them down. They get away with it. You wouldn't tell a black person to just let it go. You wouldn't tell a woman to just let it go. But you tell us to just let it go. And when you do so, you are showing exactly the mentality that we have to deal with. You don't actually care. We're not human enough for you to care. It shows when you want to take things out on someone because you didn't get your way, that you've got an easy to access victim and it is okay. I mean, look at Thomas Kelly. You know, if they beat you to death, they just call you mentally ill and it's okay. They get away with it. It's not just the police, it's not just other homeless people, it's college kids. It's people who got into an argument with their wife and she kicked them out. It's that guy who's freaked out because he's going to prison for selling methamphetamines. It's that serial killer. That's what makes all of you so scary to me. Is how easily you become detached from a human being when they are living in the worst possible conditions. You turn it off and you look the other way. You pretend they never tried to get help, that they chose that. You tell them to do these things that are magic, basically. Rights that you have, resources that you have. You see how easily between doing horrible things to me or being honest about their drug dealer, Yeah, they want to keep their drug dealer. I'm trying to go through a lot of evidence, and it really does take a lot off of me. It takes, I don't even think that this is the right word to use for it, but it's the closest I can explain it. It takes a lot of my soul and just squeezes it so hard to have to go through these things. But also, if I'm not able to show these things, then they will continue for the rest of my life and the rest of many other people's lives. I've been showing you for the last 4 years, and those of you who are friends with me on Facebook, I've been showing you even longer what it's really like, showing the real situations, the real people involved. My predators have names. I name them here because I'm not allowed to elsewhere. I'm prevented from doing so because of my predators, because of their lies, because of their slander, because of their laziness, because of their bitterness and hatred, because of their vengeance or their lust. But above all of that, their fear of consequences. Embarrassment. Embarrassment led all of these people to do things that were horrible. In most of these cases, things that were illegal. And a lot of people are dead because of it. Because nobody wants to listen to a homeless man. He must be mentally ill. It is fine for the courts to railroad him, and every judge in America does this. Show me the judge that doesn't. Many times they try to eschew the numbers by writing your last known address or writing an address that's local just because they can. Please stop murdering us. I am showing you how the police treat us. These things are all over the news with literally my predators by name on the news, like Waylon Lolatai. And then there's the body cameras. They did everything that they could to hide the body cameras, to prevent them from going to court, to lock me up for things I didn't do or things that they went out of their way to twist into something that it wasn't. And all that time, they did it because there was nobody there who cared about my safety. But what did I expect? I'd been trying to get help for an entire year before Natalie died. You really think these people are going to step up to the plate then? They all had over a year to help. I shouldn't say that. I mean, sure, Kayla Trujillo knew well in advance. A lot of people did, but then there's people like Jeff Ritter. When I moved from here because Tamara quit her job, and all of the people that I had to talk to here, Nicole Peralta, Tamara, they're telling me, hey, there's no services here. You got to go to Colorado. You got to go to the Front Range. That's where all the services are. That's where all the help is. And I went. I had my disability money. I was paying rent here so that I could try to improve my credit. You got to sign a year-long lease. They got their year-long lease. I made sure I paid it for the entire year before I moved out. Brandon Ratner helped me move out of here. But I still have to take the abuse. I still have to take it. Many people still have to take it. After you've been homeless, Many people, they treat you like you're homeless no matter what after that. Oh, that's just crazy, whoever. And you know you do these things. You walk by these homeless people. They haven't been able to bathe in a while. They haven't shaved in a while. You go, well, he looks like a chimo. He looks like a rapist. He looks like a psycho. And you teach their kids this. And they make jokes about it in good fun. When they go to college, CU, big money. And they want to go hobo bashing. And somebody that I know and love is beaten to death. And nobody cares. It's not on the mainstream news ever. I had to take a break from it. That's the thing, is that I have to do this all myself. It is very, very emotional for me. All of the things that I told you they would do, they have done. And I've had to do desperate things to try to show the truth, because really, how many of these people did I have to go to? It's as simple as looking. Jen Beebe never bothered to look. Marcia did. I'm not asking people to be dishonest. People make mistakes. If you're not willing to admit that you made mistakes, I mean, look at me, all right? I make mistakes all of the time. In one of my videos, and also in one of the things that I typed, I was explaining about how the assault in 2019 by Scott DaCosta, that didn't happen until 2020 in December. Sorry, the wrong number slipped out, but at least I admitted it. I mean, if they go looking for that in, 2018, they're not going to find it because it happened in, or, 2019, they're not going to find it because it happened in 2020. But I've also shown you how we're treated when we're by ourselves. This is nationwide. Of course, I'm taking my tobaccos here and I'm putting them into my pipe. It's not crack. It's not drugs. It's my tobaccos. It's not illegal. And you make all these excuses why it must be okay. Some of them are so fucking trivial. Like George Floyd, that was a man who was murdered over something trivial. Now, I don't think he was homeless. I haven't looked into that. Maybe I should have. What everybody keeps pushing is the he's black thing. And yeah, I get it. The homeless are murdered at a much higher rate by the police. A much, much higher rate. Per capita, oh my God. Something needs to be done. Now we're trying to go through my videos to find the video where Leslie Snell was again trying to pretend that I threatened her and her family in order to prevent me from turning her in order to prevent me from turning her in. They have already done the things that I told you that they would do. The things that I have explained to you, obviously, about even going to the courthouse are true. You've gotten to hear more than one person verify that here on my YouTube. Most homeless people will never be allowed to speak out. They'll never be heard. They will never have a YouTube to be able to do this on. And then you want to pretend like if they have a phone that they're not really homeless, or they chose homelessness. No, they need a phone to try to get a fucking job. What, you think they just were born homeless and that's how it always was? And you say they're all drug addicts and they're all mentally ill and they're all a bunch of pedophiles. And this dude over here spamming me, he's a lot more likely to be a pedophile. I mean, you really got to be a sick person to continually do that to people. But the other thing is, this is little stuff. I'm trying to show right now how the courts and the cops will help you to destroy a homeless person's life. How to literally get away with it. And yeah, these witnesses are pissed off when you post them online. You shouldn't have to. That is the whole point. You shouldn't have to. It's not that at-risk adults aren't trying to show you what's going on. It's that you are exploiting the living fuck out of them when they do, when they try. I needed Ventus's help. I needed Stephanie Mejia's help. What ended up happening, it was a party for them and me going, oh my God, please make it stop. I mean, I'm having sensory overload from the situation that I'm in. I'm trying to function as a human being. And you get to see through all of this, all of these excuses why it's magically okay for these people to murder the homeless or to incarcerate them without any evidence or to manufacture any lie that they want by simply turning off their body cameras or charging you with a crime that wasn't committed. And then you got your public pretender. This is their bread and butter. They get paid whether they win or lose. They're not going to do their jobs. They are going to let you just sit there and rot. You don't matter because you don't have a family. You don't matter because you're broke. You don't matter because all of the stuff that all of America wants to shove into their children about homeless people, these folks have had that stuffed into them too. How much possibility is there that they're going to try blaming those fires in Boulder County on homeless people? There's a pretty good chance. They're very good at that. If they can't find who did it, they blame it on a homeless person. They did that with several fires already. One of them, it turned out that it was someone who worked for the fire department. Now, did they make that as public as they did when they were trying to blame it on a homeless person? No. No, they didn't. You forgot all about it, didn't you? Because you didn't see it. You definitely saw them blaming it on the homeless people. Now, obviously, this is just me talking. The judicial abuse that I've had to endure for the last 5 years under the guise of mental illness to insinuate that I was schizophrenic. There's a lot here with a lot of witnesses on YouTube, and there's a lot that I can't post up here. Censorship, right? So every time I try to turn law enforcement in, they do this. The predators that I've been trying to turn into law enforcement, they literally help those predators get away with their crimes. And why wouldn't they? These police are my predators as well. These people are predators to all of us who are homeless. Move along, move along, move along. That is always what you tell us to do. Move along, move along. Move along. We don't want you here. Go away. We don't like you. We don't like you. Obviously, it's gotten to the point where the word homeless is about like calling a black person the N-word. This happens to black homeless people too. And that's what a few of the articles that I posted up on my Facebook today are about. My predators by name. Waylon Lolatai assaulted me in the Boulder Hospital for trying to make a police report. How is that okay? Then they charged me with assault. And they held on to that until Clearview wanted to inject me with drugs after assaulting me. Mind-altering drugs, mind you. Inject them into my bloodstream, into my body. They later killed a man doing that. Now, why did I have to endure this at Clearview? Because I couldn't call 911. I took that backpack full of evidence everywhere that I went. I tried to show it to every officer that I could. They took it in many times, but never looked at it. I tried to get forms so that I could make statements against their officers. They refused to give me forms. Wanted to grill me and intimidate me instead of allowing me those forms. Then later on, they want to pretend all nice like. When I've learned how to record these things, or when I've got somebody else present, I got Tourette syndrome. I do this with my eyes sometimes. That could literally get me shot by a police officer. They say you can't be denied the job if your disabilities prevent you from doing it, or if your disabilities don't prevent you from being able to do it. Here's the thing. You go in for an interview and you're kind of nervous and your eyes are twitchy. Now, they can give you medications that are supposed to help. That makes it even worse. So you're in a job interview, you're nervous, and you're kind of doing that a little bit. Your boss is just going to assume that you're on drugs. Probably not going to get the job. Unless your boss's druggy contact just got busted. And then you end up with people like, well, what I got to deal with. People constantly hit me up for, well, not constantly, but often enough and frequently enough hitting me up for drugs, knowing I don't do drugs, I don't sell drugs, and I never have. Now, don't get me wrong, I did my experimentation back in the day, realized I didn't like anything, and the few that I didn't try, it's because God, I come from a family of addicts. If people in my family are addicted to it, I don't want it. I don't want to try it. I'm not interested. They threw away their families for that crap. You really think I'm going to give up my soul? And I get that that's not the word for it. I suppose the word I should use is conscience. Your conscience goes right out the window when it happens to a homeless person. You think if you look away, it means it didn't happen. Or if you look away, it's not going to happen to you. You could end up homeless too. The thing is, I record everything. When Marcia Estrada was saying, well, how do you know they're not going to just pull a sleight of hand? Well, because I recorded them trying to pull a sleight of hand, telling me one thing and then another, and then another, and then another, and sending me to this place and sending me to that place, and it's all documented. Of course I get pissed off. These are the things that we should be pissed off about. These are the things that we should curse about. These are the things that we should be angry about. These are human lives. But they're not allowed to curse. You are. They're not allowed to be angry, but you are. While you're able to get help, I've shown you all throughout this how people keep on trying to redirect it to me moving along, moving on, moving elsewhere, always. If these people really, actually, and truly cared about me, they would stop. Just stop. Stop with the moving bullshit. It's not working. I keep on moving to make you happy. I keep jumping through the hoops to move, to make you happy. But it's not going anywhere and it's not helping. And that is everyone's solution. When a homeless person is victimized, just move. Just move. It'll be fine elsewhere. No, it won't. People all across the country know that if they have a bad day, they have a pool of victims that they can take it out on at any point in time. Over anything at all. Something so trivial as you've got a badge and you want to assert your power. You want to feel mighty. I have this. I took an oath that I break every day. It makes me powerful. I can break the law because me and my police brethren all put our money into a pot. So when we get busted breaking the law, we have an attorney to hide the evidence and prevent it from being shown in court. If I was rich, I'd be called eccentric. I'm not. I'm poor. You call me crazy. The things that I am passionate about, I am very, very passionate about. The Constitution of the United States of America is one of them. And to allow someone to be denied all of the rights of the Constitution simply by calling them mentally ill. You are making them a victim for the rest of their life. You are making them easy to target for the rest of your life. You are putting them in a desperate situation for the rest of their life. You all know that you can do these things. Those of you who choose not to, thank you. Thank you for not actively pursuing victimization and murder of the homeless. But at the same time, where's our Million Man March? When we try to speak out, you call us crazy, nutty. You call us weirdos. You call us pedophiles. You call us all of the most horrible things that you can think of. And we just have to take it. That is always your solution for us. It's not your solution for you. You wouldn't dare even try that. But then again, you don't have to go through it, so it's easy for you to say. Oh. I'm sorry I do that. I don't do it because I'm praying. I do it because I talk with my hands. Okay, very much. I mean, like this and like this and like this. This is what my dad used to do. Oh my God, it annoys the shit out of me when he does that. But how did my dad treat me when I went to him for help? He was verbally abusive. He was demeaning and disrespectful the entire time. And then he has a few moments of niceness. And I'm supposed to be happy with that. I'm not going to be happy with that. I mean, I'm literally staying out in the Jeep so that I don't have to deal with my dad being a dickhead. And I was glad for the Jeep. I didn't get to keep it. You guys got to hear the conversation with Rhiannon Ingersoll when I was explaining to her what happened to the Jeep. I recorded phone calls with all of these people to show the truth. This is truly how we are treated. People constantly telling us, let it go and move along. And this happens to us again in the next place. We're not wanted. We're not human. You need to move along. We can't turn crimes into the cops. Are you fucking kidding me? We can't get help from these programs that you keep telling us about. If you guys knew all of the crap that I went through to get these meals that are supposed to be delivered to the place that I was staying at, and how much we went through, and this food never showed up. I'm like, what gives? Why is it not showed up? I thought we had it all set up so that it was going to show up. Never showed up. And now, because I don't have my own address, they won't do that. I am eligible for those services, but not without my own address. And there's a lot of people who've, well, they're too afraid to come forward, but they're still helping me in little ways. And even many of them got to deal with stupid, bogus charges like trespassing on a public sidewalk. I want you to listen to that again. Trespassing on a public sidewalk. I've done everything I can to show the truth. You know, on Facebook, I used to post up posts that show, or screenshots that show threats that people were sending me on Facebook. I saved the evidence before making a complaint. I actually got put in Facebook jail for 30 days for that. I was also put in Facebook jail. That's what they call it when you're not able to post for a certain amount of time, or a Facebook ban. And some Facebook bans are permanent. The problem is that there's evidence of the abuse that I've endured and the fact that I'm literally screaming for help. They say it's not okay for me to scream for help, that I got to go to all these services. Obviously, I've gone. I've tried. Without help going through and processing this and having someone who actually cares about my rights in person, there ain't no Million Man March. Yes, I am fighting for the rights of black people. Yes, I am fighting for the rights of disabled people. Yes, I am fighting for the rights of children, but I'm fighting for my own rights too. When I say speak out, when somebody goes missing, I say something, I do something, I get proactive. I don't type, I'll pray for you, and then forget I saw it. I'm also not racist or sexist. If you let me know that somebody is missing, I will let the world know. If you get a hold of me and say your granddaughter is missing, I will let the world know. If you tell me that your mother is missing, I will let the world know. If you want to get a hold of me and tell your own story so that you can let the world know, that's more powerful than me relaying your story. I've gotten a lot of stuff wrong. When I was telling the story of Caceres Stops Pretty Places, I got a few details wrong. There were also things that people told me that it ended up being wrong. I admitted those things. Those things could make a difference. When it came to Selena Bell or Selena Not Afraid, same thing. There were details that I got wrong. There's a lot of stuff I got right too, though. That's the thing about having experience, though. I'd already been in Hardin, Montana. I'd already heard over half a dozen of the people who lived in Hardin tell me about all of the missing people from the area. That was the talk while I was there. You darn right I remember it, and you darn right I said something. I get treated like I'm crazy. The courts won't look at whether or not these stories are even true. I've been showing on YouTube, yes, they are absolutely true. Yes. Yes, these are true stories for all of you to see. But my predators are doing everything in their power to prevent these things from being said and shown in court. These witnesses should have been spoken to and subpoenaed by my public pretenders who religiously did not show up. If there's crimes against the homeless, all of these people profit from it. Oh. one of them head scratchers, you know, the ones that make you feel good. I realize that's off topic. A lot of people say, use your coping mechanisms, use your coping skills, use your coping skills. I do. I mean, people are telling me to breathe. I'm already breathing by the time they say it, and you can see it in the video. That's probably not something they can see over the telephone. I'm already practicing those coping skills. But I have to be worried about the things that have continually happened to me, continually happening to me for the rest of my life. Where anybody can commit a crime against me, and it doesn't have to be over the situation with Natalie. The fact that I will be so horribly victimized if I try to get help is very much because of the situation with Natalie. Very much because of the slander that was allowed. You pick a homeless person, you call them mentally ill, you know they're alone. Obviously, if their families really cared about them, they wouldn't be out there homeless. And in reality, a lot of those people are homeless with their families, but they're homeless. No one cares. And that's the mentality that ends us up in institutions, jails, prisons, and graveyards. Actually, it might be a little more expensive to bury somebody than to just incinerate them. What do they call that? Cremation? Is that what they do with unclaimed bodies? Ask the city of Boulder how many homeless people they have incinerated in the last decade. Please. That's the worst thing to do. Because then you're destroying evidence of the crimes against them. But then again, nobody cares. You're not going to investigate, are you? No matter how much evidence that I show, these same predators get to do these things over and over again. And I have to be able to try to get someone in person to see the evidence so that I don't have to post it on Facebook. I need them to hear the evidence so their phone numbers and their personal information, their addresses, their this and that and the other aren't all over my Facebook and YouTube. I make sure that that stuff's not there. Most of the stuff, like I said, that I've posted is unusable. There is too much personal information. There's also the people who freely gave information, and it's not against the law for me to show that. Don't tell me something if it's not true. If it is true, well, you need to speak up. I was trying to get help so that I could stop the abuse before Natalie was killed, and I was jumping through all the hoops that I needed to. One person quitting her job is all it took, because then I had no support here. Tamara was the one actual support that I had until she quit. After that, it was all complete bullshit. Then Meg came on board. She didn't understand most of what I was going through on the legal level, but she understood the autism treatment, the assumption that we are mentally retarded, that we are too stupid for words, and we're not. We're people. Meanwhile, we got to go all the way back to the beginning of this, because we got to talk about the police murdering us and getting away with it by calling us mentally ill. Murdering us isn't the only crime that they're committing. These officers, each one, has committed human trafficking when it comes to the homeless. Prisons for profit. It's not just the prisons, it's also the jails. We are their job security. There's not enough crimes, or we can't find the actual criminals. Where are the homeless people? Just lock him up until he pleads guilty. Oh, he wants to tell on the cops? Here, let's take away all of the evidence of the abuse by the police. And then we'll tell somebody else that he's schizophrenic. And then we'll say, hey, we want a psych evaluation. And then we'll change our minds. And then we'll change our minds. All of these people are profiting off of our lives. But how can we really call them lives when our lives are victimization? Our lives are getting everything stolen from us. Our lives are being told that we're not trying hard enough, and we have to try harder than everyone else. Well, you've got problems getting out of your TV chair to your car. We got to walk for miles and miles and miles with our backpacks on to get somewhere where we will hopefully get a couple of days before the cops mess with us. There's suspicious people out there. You need to move along. Don't get mouthy with me, boy. Bullied straight up by police. And then, just because they talk nicely when they know that they're on camera or when someone else is there, they also show in those examples that when there is somebody else there, they're going to tell you something completely different. Those phone calls to the Nebraska State Patrol for years, where they can't investigate, they can't do nothing. And then magically, after Lassen takes part in an assault against me, now magically they can call me. And all they're interested in is if I show them any evidence, they're going to take all of my evidence away. They can have a duplicate of it. Because if they get to take the actual evidence, they have the chance, the opportunity, the motive, and the intent to destroy evidence. But it's fine. You want to find true judicial misconduct. I want you to look at, instead of saying, look how horrible it is to do it to all of these black people, I want you to ask how many of them black people were homeless. And I want you to see the judicial misconduct towards the homeless. Sometimes they write homeless. Sometimes they write transient. Sometimes they write traveler. Even that is going to be a higher number, but they have to try to hide that. You know how many times they put down a fake address as my address? Not me. The police did that. They did that in Larimer County. When I went in for my fingerprinting, they wrote down an address that was not mine. That officer broke the law by doing that, knowing full well when I told him repeatedly, I don't live here. But really, who cares? Who is there to contest it? Sure, I had somebody that went with me so that he could bear witness. His name is Mark Townsend. He was tired and he didn't want to go inside because he doesn't like cops. So I had to go in by myself anyway. Then later on, he tells me he was beaten by the Longmont Police Department and can't remember shit. What happens if you're a homeless person who is a witness to a crime by police against homeless people? You've gotten to hear these witnesses that we've called these places. We've tried these places. We have done everything we can to try to get me help in person. It ain't happening. Meanwhile, there was no history of me being a violent person in my adult lifetime. But then they want to magically try to manufacture one, as well as manufacture a diagnosis of schizophrenia. Police officers can't do that. But they tried to infer it and insinuate it, just like Natalie Bollinger did, just like all of these other people did. When they don't want people to hear you, they say he's crazy. And the more you abuse them, yes, the more crazy they are going to seem. The more they are gaslighted, the more crazy they are going to seem. Oh. Again, for the last time, these people are dead. They are dead. They're dead. DEAD. There are people who lived in houses and had loving families that ended up dead, and you care about them, but you don't care about the fact that there was a homeless man who was literally abused by these same exact predators and spoke out about it. And you victimized that homeless man and did everything that you could to prevent him from being heard. And that is why these people are dead. That is why these people who lived in these houses, who were killed by the same predators by name that I was trying to turn in. And they chose people they thought it was easy for them to victimize, didn't they? Waylon Lolatai. Out of the 6 other people that he assaulted in 2018, how many of them were either homeless or assumed to be homeless? All of them, every single one. Boulder Police Department and Boulder City Council do everything they can to sweep this crap under the rug. But it is obvious by now that it's the fucking truth, and you're looking away because it's not happening to you. You say, I can't, my hands are tied. No. You're holding onto the rope, and someone is dangling at the other end. An innocent human being is dangling at the other end, and all you got to do is let go and tell the truth. All right. Now, like with many videos, I think I'm going to go through and try to find the videos that I posted the most in the comment sections as far as evidence goes, and try to link all of them down here in the regular comment section. I mean, when I'm pointing down, I mean like the regular comment section. Please don't look away to the things happening to me. I'm not looking away to the things happening to you. I'm not making excuses for them to do those things to you.